there, this is Arun Gupta from Amazon, and we are here at Devoxx Belgium. I'm excited here with my colleague, Yishai.
Hey Arun,
Hey Yishai,
good to see you.
good to see you as well. What do you do at Amazon?
I'm the manager of the Amazon Corrado team. So we build an OpenJDK distribution, both for Java 8 and Java 11.
Fantastic. And I remember we were here last year where we introduced Amazon Corrado. So it's been just about a year now.
That was fun, right?
That was so much fun, with James Gosling getting up on the stage and saying, I am the father of Java. We really enjoyed that.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. So for customers who don't know, tell us what is Amazon Corrado?
So Amazon Corrado is a no-cost distribution of OpenJDK. It has no ties, no concerns whatsoever. You can take it, you can run it on your desktop, you can run it on-prem, you can run it in AWS, you can bundle it, whatever you want to do with it. It's just GPL v2 with class path exception. That's about it. It's Java.
And so why did we go through this exercise of releasing Amazon Corrado? There are, you said it's a downstream distribution of OpenJDK. There are lots of distributions of OpenJDK. Why did we decide to do this distribution?
Yeah, so at least at the time, there was not a single distribution you can use across all these scenarios I just mentioned, right? So if you want something that can run on-prem and in the cloud and on Linux and on Windows and on Mac, it just wasn't available. Like you could pay a bill for that, but if you wanted it for free, like you used to, it just wasn't available. So many customers walked over to us, called us, emailed us and say, hey, we're very concerned about the future of Java. What are we going to do next? And the move was we wanted to assure them, we wanted to ensure the longevity of Java, and we already had it. We were building our own distribution inside Amazon. We've been running Amazon on Corrado for several years already, and it was fairly easy decision to say, well, let's just take it, open it, and show that we want to support the community and keep going.
So this is very much like the customer obsession that we do at Amazon. Like we treat the internal customers and external customers about the same, and then we said, hey, there's a need for external customers, so let's release it for them as well.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Now, external customers, like people who are not at Amazon, how do they know that, when do they touch that Amazon Corrado backend?
Yeah, so if you go to Amazon Retail and you buy something, you buy a package, send it home, you have used Corrado. If you go to the AWS console, you've used Corrado. You download a package from S3, you've used Corrado.
So there's a Corrado backend that is powering this, and with S3 particularly, we're talking about trillions of operations on a daily basis.
So Corrado started in 2016, right? But in early 2018, we're pretty much, the whole company is already running on Corrado. So everything Java in Amazon, and I'm talking about tens of thousands of services, are running on Java today. And that Java is Corrado.
Fantastic. Now we'll dig into your talk here. The talk here is about migrating AWS service from JDK 8 to JDK 11. I want to learn more about that. But tell me, one of the things I want to keep, one of our leadership principles is to be vocally critical of ourselves. And from the DevOps perspective, I want to hold you accountable. What have you contributed to OpenJDK?
So let's start with what we promised and what we delivered. So when we came out to Devoxx last year, we had a preview release for Java 8, and we promised we're going to do 11. We promised we're going to do GA, and we added since then several distributions of Linux. We support Ubuntu, we support Red Hat, we support obviously Amazon Linux. We're now the default distribution. Corrado 11 is the default distribution of Linux, and we recently added ARM support. We also released a very important, significant feature called ACCP, or Amazon Corrado Crypto Provider. That's a package that applies to any Java distribution, not just for Corrado, and it accelerates crypto operations. It's a very, very significant improvement. It will both save you money, make your crypto operations a lot faster, and in today's world, you are encrypting your customer data at rest, and you are signing data, and you run everything under TLS. All these things seamlessly, without any work from you. You just install that package, turn a flag on in the properties, and you're done. So these have been our contributions in Corrado. When it comes to the community, we actually took on ourselves maintenance of OpenJDK 8U and 11U. So there's mostly 3 companies, Red Hat, SAP, and Amazon. And the 3 of us together, patch security, backport bug fixes, do bug fixes of our own, performance improvements, all these things. And so anybody using OpenJDK today is using the product of our work, regardless if they're using Corrado or not. Beyond that, everything that we see in Amazon or with our customers, we see problems, we see opportunities for performance improvements, we ship them inside Amazon, we validate them in production, and then we put them back into OpenJDK and into Corrado. There's nothing that we hold back from the community. Everything we do goes straight back to OpenJDK.
So by the time it actually comes down as Amazon Corrado to the real world, to the outside world rather, it has already been battle tested at all of these services across Amazon.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So now your talk here was about migrating an AWS service from JDK 8 to JDK 11. So I want to understand, first of all, tell me more about your talk.
Okay, so one of the things that we're really interested in is to see Java move forward. A lot of customers we talk to are still running on Java 8. Java 8 is starting to show its age. Java 11, on the other hand, has been around for about a year now. We think it's stable, we think it's ready, and we started inside Amazon to work with teams to move from 8 to 11. And we figured, what is the best way to tell the story? Yeah, we can talk about all the features in JDK 11, but instead we can show how we took one of the biggest services in the world, one of the most critical services in the world, Lambda.
Wait. So you said we migrated AWS Lambda from JDK 8 to JDK 11 in the backend.
Correct.
So now AWS Lambda is running with JDK 11 backend.
Right.
Okay.
So we're walking through where we started with Java 8, what things we wanted to fix. We didn't just say, oh, let's just update because it's the right thing, which we should do. But instead we looked at what is the things that our customers are seeing with the service, where are the pain points, and how do we make it better? We started by, can we do work in Java 8 to make it better? So, for example, we added ACCP, and it made things a lot better.
So but in Corrado 11, for example, ACCP is default turned on.
It is not actually.
It is not turned on.
It's still an add-on, but at this time, Lambda was running on Corrado 8. We added ACCP, it made things better, but we wanted to go further.
Gotcha.
Right? And we said, well, what can we do that is not just going back and working the code? Can we do some easy stuff? And in my talk, I explained exactly how we found out that it was the right thing, but we basically took the plunge, updated to JDK 11. We showed it's easy, the value is tremendous, and we really didn't see any major reason not to do it.
Okay, so now think about this, like a year or two ago, when all of AWS and Amazon was moving, I believe we were using Oracle JDK to begin with.
Right.
And we started migrating that from Oracle JDK to Amazon Corrado to begin with Corrado 8. And then we did that thing with Lambda particularly, migrating from Amazon Corrado 8 to Corrado 11. What was the experience like? What sort of issues that customers should be watching out for as they're doing their own migrations?
So when we started in Amazon, there was a lot of, I would say, doubt. People thought about OpenJDK as this different thing than Oracle JDK, even though they're the same code base, they're literally the same code. So there was a lot of education to do. And the value for the Amazon customers was, now you have a team of developer sitting on the same network, can see your code, can see your metrics, can go and make patches on the fly, or in a couple of days, where otherwise you'd wait another release cycle. Maybe
for Amazon customers particularly, the agility was important.
Right. So we would see a problem in a patch release, and instead of waiting for the next patch release, reporting the bug and waiting for it to be fixed, we could just go in and fix it right away. So that was our first foray into this world. And we got quite a few services, many services, but still not the bulk of them. Then we looked at it and said, you know what, we actually don't see any differences or any fear or any concerns. And then we built this program where we automatically migrated the teams. So we went with a few hundred services per day, completely automated. They didn't even feel the change. Their next deployment went from Oracle JDK to Corrado. And I would say we found one single instance of an issue, and it had to do with these customers were deploying one of our libraries, and all they had to do is change the class path. So they caught it right at compilation time, changed the class path, redeployed, everything was fine.
And this is across thousands of services that are running at Amazon that we migrated from Oracle JDK 8 to Amazon Corrado 8.
Right, and when you ask most customers in Amazon, they didn't know it happened, they can't tell the difference, they're like, we're just using Java, and they're going on. Other customers realize they have a team inside, and then they start coming out to us and say, hey, you know, this API is really, really slow, and we're using it a lot, and we have this thing called Profiler at Amazon, and what it does is it looks at the service and reports it in a central place. So we can start seeing patterns. And this pattern shows up not in a test, it shows up in production, and then we see it across multiple services. So we can go and say, you know what, this is a real thing. We're not going to ask the customer to write better code, we're going to write a better JDK. We go and patch it, release it, and then you see across the whole company, better performance, lower latency, less outages. There's a very good positive cycle. Once it's tested in production in Amazon and we know it's stable, and obviously once in a while we will make a mistake, but then we catch it, we fix it in Amazon before we put it out, and then we take these things, we put them out in Corrado and release it to the world, and obviously contribute it to OpenJDK.
So from Oracle JDK 8 to Corrado 8, there was one class path issue, which hopefully was a simple fix, just fix the dash CP and ready to roll. How was the experience from, so now you're moving Lambda from Corrado 8 to Corrado 11. How was that migration experience? Tell me specifically about your successes and failures over there.
So I would say at the bottom line, and we did a few more services beyond Lambda, the bottom line is, if you keep your dependencies up to date, it's a fairly easy migration. The example, let's take Lambda as an example. The Lambda migration, the service source code had 0 changes. So all you change is the equivalent of, let's say, your Gradle or Maven file, but the service code itself had basically 0 changes. Where we had a lot of changes was...
And so in terms of service, you mean Lambda, basically, because that's what customers know.
Yeah.
Internally at Amazon, we call it as a service, but so Lambda service code had to 0 changes.
Right.
Okay.
On the other hand, that Lambda service code's test code had a lot of changes. And that's because we had to upgrade Mockito version, and when we upgraded Mockito made some actually really good API changes for good reasons, but it meant that we had to go and change our test code, and that took quite a lot of time. The learning from that is if we have updated Mockito earlier, it was available, and we're writing a lot of test code, right? It's a really big part of what we do. And it means all that test code for a significant period amount of time would have been written in Mockito 2 instead of Mockito 1, and we wouldn't have to change it.
These tests are always pesky, what can I say?
Yeah, so, but the learning is really simple. If you update your dependencies on a regular basis, you're going to get a lot of performance improvements, a lot of bug fixes. In Maven world, maybe if you're going to get security patches. In test code, you're going to spend less time updating your test.
And you're saying not just dependency for the application code, but for the test as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So the end result for Lambda was, as soon as we fixed the test code, we were fine. Everything was running. The performance improved, the latency went down, things were just better by doing, I would say, it's not nothing, because I'll talk about how we did the deployment. It's such a big critical service. It runs trillions of operations per month, hundreds of thousands of customers, 22 regions. You move with trepidation in such a big change. There's a lot of API changes in JDK 11. Doesn't matter how many tests we run and how many tests we write, we still need to move securely as we go and make these big sweeping changes. But that was the work, not test code, not test changes, not service code. Test code, yes, test changes, yes, and thinking about how we do deployment.
And why should customers think about migrating from JDK 8 to 11?
So in terms of support timeframe, they're about the same. So JDK 8 will support until 2023.
And you're talking about that for Corrado though?
For Corrado,
Right.
yes.
Right.
For Corrado 11 until 2024. So it's about 1 year difference. Doesn't seem much, but when you get close to 2023, it's going to be much.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's more and more fixes that go into 11 that do not make it all the way to 8. The code base is vastly different, and not everything is easily backported. There's also a lot of improvements. JDK 11 has a feature called compact strings. Your strings, your English strings, your Latin strings, are about half the size. That's a huge reduction in memory consumption, which is, to me, one of the most important things that impact application performance. You get that for free, right? You'll have to spend a lot of time fixing up your code to eliminate unnecessary allocations. This just comes for free.
Yeah.
The garbage collectors work a lot better. G1 now is a default collector. It's a great collector. If you ever hit a full pause, it's better. It does compacting a lot better. Just for these two reasons, I would move.
So G1 and compact strings are the two primary reasons, and customers should look at it. And anyway, you don't want to be relying upon an older runtime because there are other improvements that you get as part of that migration part.
That's correct.
Very cool. So any last bits for customers who are looking at Amazon Corrado or generally from 8 to 11 migration?
I would say start as early as possible. We have one nice thing we discovered. There's a flag on Java 8. I don't recall the exact flag, but it's a string deduplication flag. If you turn it on, I would say don't deploy to production because your latency is going to go up actually. But what you're going to see is if you look at your memory consumption, your heap consumption, if your heap goes down, you have a very good indication, very highly likelihood that the impact of moving to JDK 11 will be large, significant, and just go there. So you don't have to do any migration work. You had one flag in your load test environment to Java. Look at your memory. If your memory went down, you're in the right direction. Go look at JDK 11.
Right. Agreed. And I think the key part that we're talking about over here is, again, having that simpler DevOps script, quote unquote, which allow you that seamless migration where behind the scene, you're changing the underlying, whatever Java home, whatever mechanism you are changing that would just simplify the entire migration process because it is backwards compatible.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Mostly, yeah. As long as you keep updating your dependencies. So
that is key.
One of the key things with JDK 11 is if you use an older version of Log4j, it will not work. You have to update to a later version. Almost, I won't say every dependencies, but many dependencies. As long as you update them, they're going to work together, and your application is going to work. And if they didn't make API breaking changes, you're, I would say, quote unquote, lucky.
Yeah.
Our experience is that there's very few of them that will break you.
Yeah.
So just go give it a try.
All right. Thank you, Yishai.
Welcome.
All right.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, everybody. This is Arun Gupta signing off from here.